Hello, BookTube. This is my August wrap-up, September TBR. I actually had a pretty good reading month for September. Check out that lighting. Oh, and it's raining outside, which is kind of cool. Means it's not 1,000 degrees out here. It's a shopping list for town. Okie doke. Let's get on with it. So, apparently for September I read 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 books. That might be a record for me. So, first book I read was The Fire Next Time by James Baldwin. And this is, a look into what he was dealing with in the 60s. And it's basically a letter to one of his relatives. Oh, here's something I underlined. And today, 100 years after his technical emancipation, he remains, now he's talking about black people or himself, with the possible exception, okay, let me redo that. And today, 100 years after his technical emancipation, he remains, with the possible exception of the American Indian, the most despised creature in his country. Now, according to this, James Baldwin met Elijah Muhammad. Very insightful. I'm going to read Another Country next, and I'll probably read pretty much everything that he's written because I love the writing style. And this appeared in 1963, which was the year I was born. So that's cool. And like I said, I grew up in the 60s with civil rights and Vietnam and all that going on. So I gave this 4.5 stars. Recommended reading. I saw this on Denise Cooper's channel. I think I saw, pretty sure I know I saw it on Peter's channel, ComfyCozyup, and so I gave James Baldwin a try, and I'm glad I did. 4.5. Next I read The Lie Tree by Frances Hardinge, and this particular author was recommended to me by Kara over at Wilde Book Garden. This is about a precocious young girl, Faith. The action kept me guessing. The concept of the lie tree was pretty cool. Like I said, I don't do spoilers. Her father got in a bit of trouble. They have to move. They go to basically this island, and all kinds of weird stuff going on. Some pretty interesting characters. Well, and then her father dies. Yeah, I gotta look at my notes because I read a lot. I don't review after reading, so. And then there's some stuff going on with the stepmother. Pretty much. Sorry. Trying to get my notes out of here. Pretty much didn't have any problems with this. There was one thing. The rabbit trap scenario where the guy injured his leg, and so I looked up rabbit traps from this particular era, which was, let's say, 1890 or thereabouts. Might have been earlier than that. Well, yeah, it was after Darwin's Origin of the Species came out, because they talk about it quite a bit in here. Boy gets in a rabbit trap, and they're like, oh, he might lose his leg. A rabbit trap would only hurt you if you stuck your pinky finger in it. Yeah, because I know this because I'm a trapper. So, other than that, very entertaining. Nicely woven mystery. easily a 4-star read. So thank you for the recommendation, Kara. And it's The Light Tree by Frances Hardinge. I didn't have my my hat, or I would have put it on. Then I read The Great Gatsby by F. Scott Fitzgerald. Everyone knows this. I picked this book up, like I said, in a roundabout way. Stephanie over at Lattes and Mockingjays, she was talking about Lana Del Rey. I came across Young and Beautiful. It was featured in the movie The Great Gatsby. And I haven't seen the movie. You know, there was an old one with Robert Redford, and I don't know if there was a previous one. I'm sure there probably was, but the newest one with DiCaprio I have not seen. But I watched some clips, and I was like, well, I really need to read that book. So, like I said, in this weird way, I picked this up because of Stephanie's channel. Like I said, everybody knows this one. This was a classic I'd put off for a while because, you know, privileged people more often than not annoy me. So I do like this line though. In my younger, this is actually how it opens. In my younger and more vulnerable years, my father gave me some advice that I've been turning over in my mind ever since. Whenever you feel like criticizing anyone, he told me, just remember that all the people in this world haven't had the advantages that you've had. So I kind of like that. This was, again, a 4-star read. It's a classic. Pretty good writing. I mean, come on. It's F. Scott Fitzgerald. Give it a whirl. Then I read Kindred by Octavia E. Butler. I saw this on Felicia's channel, WhattheGemini, and I decided I would read it. And there's a blurb on the front. Now, you know, Butler, she's passed away, and so has Harlan Ellison. His blurb: Octavia Butler is a writer who will be with us for a long, long time, and Kindred is a rare magical artifact the novel one returns to again and again. And it was really cool that, see, I didn't know that Ellison was kind of a mentor to her, and he saw that talent. And this is about time travel, and Dana gets pulled into the past to save the child of a slave owner. This white guy, white kid named Rufus, and Kevin, her husband. You know, they really try to figure this out. I mean, it's just an odd situation where you just get yanked into another time, and she always seems to be saving Rufus, and then there's all the crap that was going on during, you know, the time before the emancipation, and all this bad stuff associated with slavery, and but it's, I didn't expect it to be that good. It's pretty freaking awesome. Like I said, I don't do spoilers. I know that's kind of a vague description of this, but the character Dana, the stuff that she deals with, and the fact that the only way she knows she's going to do this time travel thing is she gets a little dizzy, and then she's gone. And she can be like gone 48 hours in the present, and it'll be like a year or two or 5 years or whatever in the past. And her and her husband both get yanked in because she had a hold of his hand. It's pretty fairly original as far as the plot, but like I said, I enjoyed it. 4.5 stars. pick it up. Then I read A.B.&E by our own Marc Nash. It's part of Todd and Dane's Read Alone. Man, that jingle it always brings a smile to my face. So we're dealing with Karen Dash, and then we have a nurse, and Karen's kind of hung up on this dude named Damon, and there's some mob influences, and this is, I guess, a bit of an experimental novel. I did a full vague review of this on Todd Dane's Read Alone, which I think was a video or two ago, and there's some great recipes in here for drinks, which led me to believe that Mark used to be a bartender, but apparently not. So he said he Googled those, which I'd actually thrown that out in my review. So, but it was a 4-star read. My advice is to have a dictionary handy, because some of these words I was not really familiar with. So kudos, Mark. Good job. Ooh, excuse me. Then I read, zoom in a little note there, The Abode of Life by Lee Correy, which I think is a pseudonym. So Kirk and his bunch go to investigate some strange rift around this sun. Wish I could keep all this scientific crap in my head, but anyway, it's called Mercanium, and they land on this planet previously undiscovered, Mercane. These people have basically smoothbore gunpowder weapons, and they have these codes as far as duels, and they have some people that moderate what goes on there, and they're called the proctors. And so Kirk and his bunch, they go there and try to figure out what's going on, why everything's so weird there. The planet doesn't have seasons as we're accustomed to, and their sun is actually unstable, so they fire a couple photon torpedoes into that baby and stabilize the star, which is pretty cool. And apparently the Mercanes, they did some studies on them, and they were closely related to Vulcans. But as you know, Kirk and his crew normally always save the day. They work out something with them. It's called, I want to say the Enterprise Agreement. And everything's cool from there. So, like I said, this is like going back to an old neighborhood. I'm a Star Trek fan. And this book was sent to me by Mark Richardson over at Richardson Reads. So, thank you, Mark. I got one more of these to read, and then have the Odyssey. So, 4 stars. You got to be a Trekkie, though. And last, In Cold Blood by Truman Capote. Now, I didn't even know I had this novel on hand, but I was going through one of my old books, Treasury of Modern Mysteries, Volume 2, which was published in 1973 by Nelson Doubleday. And I did this as a buddy read with, and if I left anyone out, please forgive me. These were the names that I found. Now, Dane set this up. Dane over at Dane Reads. And a buddy read this with Alex Black, Alexandra Tejero, Patrice Jones, Dane Reads, Joe Smith, Megan and Alessandra, Elizabeth Green, Lou, Amy Hamilton, and Megan Romero. Now, I said if I left someone out, I apologize. Those are the only names I could find. This is a story of the Clutter family murders at the hands of Perry Smith and Richard Dick Hickok. It's supposed to be, you know, non-fiction, but I definitely agree with Dane and a bunch of other people, like I said, that I read this with, that there are a lot of liberties taken as far as dialogue, backstories. I don't know how much he researched Capote did as far as all the info, but there was a lot of dialogue that happened where, you know, you pretty much know he had to make it up because he wasn't there with the family when they were talking stuff before they were all killed. It's really disturbing. It's fairly well written. I didn't care for all the tangents, and another comment made by various people that we did this buddy read with was it could have been shorter. I think Capote just bloated it to make it novel length, because there's definitely a lot of stuff that, you know, could have been taken out and the story would have been just fine. But that's In Cold Blood by Truman Capote. I think I gave it 4 stars. Yeah, I've always wanted to read it, and like I said, Dane set it up, so alright. Now, that was my August stuff. This is my TBR for September, and I have 3 comics. I have not read comics in a great long while, but I won Zalata's contest, and she sent me 3 comics from Israel, which is freaking awesome. So I have Squadron Supreme. Apparently that's volume 1. The Order. I think that's number 7. And then Fantastic Four, number 35. So, cool, Z. I want to check these out. Then I have Heirs of Power by K. Macleod, which is part of Todd and Dane's indie read-along. And so this is my indie book for this month. Support indie authors. And then I'm part of Horror Aficionados on Goodreads, and they've been suggesting reads ever since I got on there, and Boy's Life came up this month, and I wanted on board for that one. So Robert McCammon, Boy's Life, which is one of my favorites of his as far as the prose is just freaking awesome. Then I have Children of Time, which I have read before, but myself and Elena Makridina, we're doing a buddy read on this. And this is, like I said before, a freaking awesome book about accelerated evolution. And, although I don't have the book yet, Cheryl and I are going to buddy read Mr. Hockey by Gordie Howe. I have to wait till that book arrives. I ordered it from Amazon, so hey, that's it. Thanks for watching. If you made it this far, you should probably give yourself a pat on the back. And if you want to support this channel, send me some money, send me some beer, send me some books. Hey, if you send me books, I will read them, I promise you. Take beef jerky. Okay, it's getting out of hand. Hey, thanks for watching. I really do appreciate it. Bye.